Here we have all the materials to build that first compost pile. I've got 2 pallets with wire cage, or we call this wire cloth, over the top. These are the only 2 I could find. This pallet's larger, so I'm going to start my pile on this one, roughly 3 feet by 3.5 feet tall. And then once it decomposes a little bit and gets smaller, I'm going to move it to that pallet over there, because that pallet is about 2.5 by 2.5. So I'm hoping that by the time the pile shrinks a little bit, it'll be able to fit onto that one. Here we've got our buckets. I've got about 10 buckets there. Here's my wire cage for the actual pile itself. It's sturdy, almost like cattle fencing, but a little bit less. And it is with a little bit of overlap here to allow for clamping together. It's about 3 feet wide. And then for the miscellaneous material, I've got my compost thermometer, which wasn't on the list, but figured show that because I have it. Bungee cords to tie that together once it's put together. I used these hammer and nails this morning to put the wire cage on this pallet. And then I also have, these are actually tin snips, but I find them much better to use to cut this wire than regular wire cutters. They're much easier, and that's kind of what these are designed for. And then I have my tarp. So that's all of the materials for the compost build. And the space I plan to go in is pretty much what you see here. The space in my backyard is about 15 feet long and about 20 feet from bed to bed. So I have this whole area here to build the compost, to flip the compost, or to turn the pile. And then I plan to let the pallet sit right in front of those other bins right there while it's aging. So plenty of material, or plenty of space to work with. It is pretty protected by the wind. I have a lot of trees around my property, and also houses on either side, so there's not much wind that comes through back here. There isn't much rain protection because I don't have anything covered. It is sitting under this large maple tree, but when it rains really heavy, it does still get wet down here, so that's why we have the tarp. The sun does get, I don't get a ton of sun back here. You can see my yard faces north, and I'm in the northern hemisphere. So I only get this small strip of sun to work with. That's where all my garden beds are. You can see right the shade line is basically right where I put the beds. So I plan to put the compost pile in the sun. It gets that area right there gets mostly sun in the morning, and then in the evening and afternoon it gets shaded out. So shouldn't be a lot of moisture loss due to evaporation, but I will be monitoring that. And that's pretty much it.